With a rich history working with Sennheiser for gaming audio, Epos has developed some great sounding headsets, but is now branching out into some other audio products with the B20 streaming microphone. With a sleek modern design, built-in audio output, and plenty of physical controls, the B20 seems to be a great choice for creators and streamers, but at $200, how does it perform? Well, let's dive in and take a closer look at the Epos B20 streaming microphone and compare it with some of the competition. Thanks for watching 9 to 5 Toys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and enable notifications with the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Hey everyone, I'm Jordan with 9 to 5 Toys. Today we are checking out that Epos B20. You can see I have it standing here. All this audio is going to be straight through Audition. I'm not going to be putting any effects or anything on it, so you can get an idea of what it sounds like straight out of the microphone. And just for disclosure, Epos did send this microphone out for a review. They're not sponsoring this video, so they have no say in what I say about it, but they did send it out for me to check out. All right, so first off, getting the B20 out of the box, Epos keeps things pretty simple for contents, but does include a USB-C to USB-A cable, some literature, a circular desktop stand for the mic, and a little screw to attach the microphone to the stand. And with that stand installed, looking at the microphone itself, Epos has given it a very sleek, very modern looking design. Dark colors with beveled edges and clean lines make this mic look really sleek. There's a large Epos logo on the right side of the microphone and a small logo on top, and physical controls on the front and back. One thing that sets the B20 apart from many other streaming microphones is this mounting arm. It's on the left side instead of the rear, which is where I'm used to usually seeing these mounting arms. But this mounting arm makes it really easy to rotate forwards or backwards and to get it positioned well for the subject that you are recording. But I have to admit, it did kind of confuse me at first. I thought, maybe I would be talking into the Epos logo, but no, you talk into the front where it has the little LED light. On the front of that microphone, we have a mic mute button with the small LED status light above it, which will turn white when the mic is active and red when the mic is muted. And on front, we also have the volume dial for the built-in 3.5mm audio out. A USB-C port and that 3.5mm audio out round out the connections on the bottom, while a gain dial and a polar pattern selector sit on back of the microphone. And while the included stand works really well to hold and position the Epos B20, you can also just remove the stand and use something like your own boom arm for mounting this. I did a review of a very cheap Amazon boom arm a while ago. I think it's like 10 or 15 bucks, and I'm still using it to this day. So, something like that adds a lot more versatility to where you can position the microphone. As you can see here, I have it standing on this box so that I could get it a little bit higher and closer to my mouth. But with something like that boom arm, you wouldn't need to use a box like this, and you can also really easily push it out of the way. So I definitely highly recommend that if you are using this microphone at a desk. Moving on to features, at this price point, it's really good to see that the B20 is more of a multi-purpose microphone thanks to those 4 selectable polar patterns. Cardioid, omnidirectional, stereo, and bidirectional make it versatile for different types of content. If you're recording a podcast with multiple people, just flip it to Omni and capture the whole room. If you're just having a two-way conversation, set it to bidirectional and sit on either side of the mic. Or if you're streaming, just click it over to cardioid so that it focuses on what's right in front of it. Otherwise, for features, it has all the physical controls on it, it does have the audio output, and then it does also interface on Windows with the Epos Gaming Suite, which unlocks a lot of customization you can do to the audio. And so we'll get into that just a little bit later. And how does it sound? Well, right out of the box, this is what you're listening to right now. I have it running through my MacBook Pro. I don't believe that the Epos Gaming Suite works on Mac yet, so what you're hearing, through this entire video is straight out the microphone, and to me I think it has a very natural sound to it with still has some decent presence as well. I think everything sounds very natural, and this is definitely going to sound a lot better than like a gaming headset microphone. I'm usually pretty critical of those because they are focused on being more for clear communications, but something like this just gives a much more natural sound to your voice. So if you are streaming or recording some sort of VO, using a microphone like this is going to take up that quality quite a bit. But if you are on a PC and you want to use the Epos Gaming Suite to make some tweaks, there's quite a bit you can do in there. So let's hop over to the PC and we'll take a look at all those changes that you can make. Okay, and here we are within the Epos Gaming Suite. And as you can see, even though I have it connected, I am recording through the B20. It's not showing up in here. And so one thing you need to do is actually change it so it is your default, set your default device within your sound settings in your playback. Click on the B20, hit set default, and then it should show up in here. All right, and there we go. So now that we have that set up, let's check out some of the different changes you can make. First off, you can change your audio output. So you can set an EQ mode if you want. You can do music, flat, whatever. And you can also change it from 2.0 to 7.1 and add some reverberation in there as well. So you can play around with that if you want. And moving over to the microphone mode, first thing you see here, we have a little like live EQ monitor. There are some different changes. It's going to show you which mode you're in, which polar pattern you have selected. So right now I have cardioid. If I were to turn it, it would show omnidirectional or stereo or bidirectional. So I'll put it back to cardioid. You can also turn on a high pass filter if you want, and then also toggle the mute here, which will also change the LED, like what's on the front of the microphone. Down along the bottom, we have different voice enhancements, which are going to make your microphone sound a little bit different. So here we have off, and then I will try the warm a little bit so we can give you an idea of what the warm setting sounds like. And then we'll flip it over to clear. This is what the clear setting sounds like. And then lastly, we go to custom. And so obviously here, you can do anything you want and put in your own custom changes and, get it to sound however you want. So if you do want to dial it in yourself for your own voice, that's something you can do in here. I'm going to go back to off. And then obviously you can adjust your gain in here as well. You also have the gain dial on the back of the microphone. So you can make some adjustments there. You can see as I'm rotating that, it's going up and down. And then moving on, we have side tone. So this is going to be like, if you're using the microphone output, you're going to be able to hear yourself coming back through that, and you can turn that up and down. Then you have a noise gate. And one cool thing about this is that it actually shows is that there's actually like this little line that's moving up and down. So it's showing you kind of where that noise floor is for the gate. So anything that's underneath that line is going to try to keep out, and then anything above, it will let, come through. So you can make that very aggressive if you want. Or you can just, add it for a little bit of background noise. So I'll keep that pretty low. And then noise cancellation here is going to help with, just cutting out some background noise. And there are 3 different settings to that that you can play around with for your individual situation. And then lastly, we have the little settings. We can check like your firmware version. And then that's about it as far as the Epos gaming suite goes. The only downside that I see with the Epos gaming suite is that you have to have the B20 set as the default device to get it to show up within the gaming suite and to make all those adjustments. And even if you do, get it to show up, make those adjustments, and then choose a different audio output, a different default device, you'll lose any of those tweaks. Thankfully, the microphone I think sounds great just in its default setting, but it really would be nice to be able to make some audio tweaks to the microphone and still use a different output and, save those tweaks on here. All right, and so now we're going to take a look at what some of the competition sounds like. So obviously you can hear the Epos B20 right now, and then we're going to check out the Blue Yeti X, which is another great microphone. This one comes in at $170 right now and has a lot of customization you can do to the sound with that Blue Voice app. So that's one we're going to compare it to, definitely a huge contender, a heavy hitter in this USB microphone setup. And then we're also going to check out the HyperX QuadCast S, which has been another very popular kind of, more streaming microphone. All right, so first off, we're going to record a little bit with the Epos B20. I have my computer down here, kind of angled it so I'm talking directly into the microphone. I'm going to try to get about the same distance from my mouth for all of these 3 different devices. In order to speak to larger groups of people, a need arose to increase the volume of the human voice. The earliest devices used to achieve this were acoustic megaphones. Some of the first examples from the 5th century BC Greece were theater masks with horn-shaped mouth openings that acoustically amplified the voice of actors in amphitheaters. All right, and now we'll swap over to the Blue Yeti X. All right, and now we are switched over to the Blue Yeti X, have it about the same height, about the same distance from my mouth, and we're going to read that same excerpt. In order to speak to larger groups of people, a need arose to increase the volume of the human voice. The earliest devices used to achieve this were acoustic megaphones. Some of the first examples from the 5th century BC Greece were theater masks with horn-shaped mouth openings that acoustically amplified the voice of actors in amphitheaters. All right, and lastly, we do have the HyperX QuadCast S, and I'm going to read that same excerpt here so we can check it out. In order to speak to larger groups of people, a need arose to increase the volume of the human voice. The earliest devices used to achieve this were acoustic megaphones. Some of the first examples from 5th century BC Greece were theater masks with horn-shaped mouth openings that acoustically amplified the voice of actors in amphitheaters. All right, and hopefully that gave you a good idea of what some of the competition sounds like. The Epos B20 does come in at $200 once again, the Blue Yeti X at $170, and the HyperX QuadCast S is at $160. So, definitely some stiff competition there. I do think that a lot of these, large condenser microphones, these USB microphones, do sound very similar. Probably be some subtle differences differences in between. The Blue Yeti X, does have a lot of customizability within the Blue Voice software if you want to tweak how that sounds. And then the QuadCast S obviously has those adjustable colors, adjustable RGB within the microphone itself. So some neat functionality there. So overall, wrapping up here, it's great to see Epos expanding their products even more. I think they delivered a comfortable, great sounding headset with the H3 and nailed the look and the sound of the B20 as well. At $200, there are plenty of more affordable microphones, but if you're a fan of Epos, the modern looks and all the physical controls and good sound, then the Epos B20 is definitely a high-performing microphone. Alright, and that'll do it for our review of the Epos B20. Thanks for watching. We'll definitely have a link to it down in the description if you want to check it out and pick it up for yourself, as well as some links to some reviews of some other microphones. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. This is Jordan with 9to5 Toys.